me today is Aurora. And Aurora took the exam back in 2013. So she has a few tips for us on how to prepare to take the exam. What are some of the things that you can recommend?
First of all, I would recommend that you become intimately acquainted with the various sections of the exam and the types of questions you're going to be asked. The NALA website is a great resource for this information, and also the prepared guides. Finally, sharpen your writing skills. They're so important for this exam. Not only this exam, but if you really and seriously want to work in this legal field. If there are any grammar rules or exceptions that you just don't feel comfortable with, spend extra time on those rules so that when you come across them in the exam, you're well prepared to select the correct answer.
I totally agree with you. This exam really is a lot more involved than people give it credit for. And I think those were wonderful tips. Aurora, let me ask you, what kind of tips would you give to someone when they're ready to take the exam?
Well, I'm sure everyone's heard this before, but do not cram. Make sure you eat well and sleep well before your testing days. Also, I think it's important to be confident in what you've learned and follow your instincts while you're taking the exam. Another suggestion that I have relates to the judgment and analytical section, the J&A section, and that's the writing section, where you're given a hypothetical scenario and you're asked to answer a particular question or write a legal opinion based on the fact pattern that you're given. My suggestion there is to really think about what your answer is going to be, and before you start writing, make sure it makes sense in your mind. Next, I think you should prepare an outline of all of the points that you're going to make. And finally, allow yourself time to review and proofread what you've written, keeping in mind that it's better to be short and sweet than long-winded and verbose. And it's better to use active voice rather than passive voice. The more often you can reread what you wrote, the higher the likelihood you'll catch little typos and errors that you may not have realized you'd written before.
I totally agree. And I think one of the other more important aspects is to remember to answer the question.
Absolutely.
Many times people go through all of that and forget, well, what was the question?
Exactly. You're absolutely right, Lydia. First and foremost, answer the question.
Aurora, I have to say, those were excellent tips and so important to keep in mind. Thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you, Lydia. It's been a pleasure.